In China, if you're afraid of heights, even a first-floor walk will seem like an extreme sport because they build to defy logic. These aren't just buildings, they're monuments to vertigo and the impossible, seemingly designed by civilizations from another world. Today, you'll see 14 structures that will send shivers down your spine. Stick around until number 1 because it's so terrifying that even local engineers avoid looking directly at it. Let's begin. The bridge that walks on clouds. Imagine you're 300 meters above the ground. There's no solid ground beneath your feet, just a sheet of glass a few centimeters thick. You look down and see the void, tiny trees, a river that looks like a silver thread. If your knees don't tremble at that moment, you're probably not human. This is what happens daily on the Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge, a structure that doesn't just connect two cliffs, it connects fear with awe. When the engineers proposed this idea, many thought it was a bad joke, a transparent bridge suspended between mountains that had been through centuries of erosion. But China doesn't take jokes when it comes to infrastructure. They built it. And not only that, they did it with tempered glass panels 40 times stronger than ordinary glass. You can jump, you can run, you can even throw yourself to the ground if panic takes over, and nothing will happen. The bridge holds. But the eerie thing isn't its strength, it's the experience. Walking across it is like floating. The wind blows, the structure sways gently, and your brain can't quite believe what your eyes are seeing. During the first few months, some people had to be pulled along by their friends because they simply couldn't take a step. Today, it's one of the most visited places in the country. People pay to feel that thrill, to see for themselves that the human body isn't designed to walk on air, and yet it does. The highway that hugs impossible mountains. If the Zhangjiajie Bridge makes you feel like you're floating, the G55 Expressway in the Taihang Mountains makes you feel like you're crashing in slow motion. It's not just any road, it's a road that engineers look at and wonder how on earth they managed to carve out the curves without falling into the abyss themselves during construction. To understand it, you have to visualize mountains so vertical they seem like walls erected by giants. Now imagine you decide to drill through them, pass through them from the inside, circle them from the outside, embrace them like a snake that won't let go of its prey. That's the G55. Tunnels that stretch for kilometers carved into solid rock, hairpin turns where one miscalculation sends you plummeting over the precipice, and views that shouldn't be within reach of a windshield. The locals call it the Dragon Road, and with good reason. From the air, it looks like an asphalt reptile coiled around the stone. But what few know is that every meter of that road cost debates, sweat, and in some cases lives. Drilling through mountains is not the same as leveling terrain. There's no flat terrain here, just pure challenge. And the result is a route any driving enthusiast would dream of exploring as long as they don't look down. The ghost town that was born to be giant. Some cities die because people leave. Then there are cities like Kangbashi, which were born gigantic but remained empty. This isn't an abandoned town from the Old West. It's a futuristic metropolis in Ordos, planned to house 1 million people. The problem is that when the cranes left and the architects gave their final speeches, almost no one ever lived there. Walking through Kangbashi is an experience bordering on the surreal. 8-lane avenues completely deserted, avant-garde buildings with glass facades reflecting a sun that warms no one, streetlights that come on every night to illuminate sidewalks where not a soul walks. It's a ghost town, yes, but not the kind that's scary because it's dark, but the kind that sends shivers down your spine with its empty perfection. The eerie thing isn't what's there, it's what's missing. People. They built schools without students, hospitals without patients, parks without children. For years, it was the perfect example of the Chinese real estate bubble taken to the extreme. But here's the unsettling part. It's slowly waking up. There are already a few thousand residents, government offices have moved in, and shops are opening their doors. Kangbashi is going from ghost town to reality, proving that even the most colossal mistakes can be corrected with time. Although walking its streets even today makes you look twice before crossing, just in case a car appears, or worse, in case no one ever appears at all. The airport at sea that moves mountains. China has a serious problem. It has more than enough people, but not enough space to build airports near its fastest growing cities. The solution in any other country would be to find a remote plot of land and build a highway. In China, the solution was different. It was to blast away entire mountains to fill in the ocean and build a runway where there was once only water. The Dalian Jinzhuan International Airport is exactly that. An airport on the sea. But it's not a floating platform. It's land reclaimed from the ocean using dynamite and trucks. They moved millions of tons of rock, cut away entire peaks, crushed them, and poured them into the water until they created a solid surface capable of supporting the weight of the world's heaviest aircraft. Watching a plane take off from there is both poetic and brutal. The plane runs over land that was once a mountain, rises above the sea, and you're left thinking that just a few years ago, that same space was saltwater teeming with fish. Today, it's one of the most impressive infrastructure projects in the country, and the best part is, it's not the only one. China has been reclaiming land from the sea for decades, building artificial islands, expanding coastlines, and reshaping the geography to suit its needs. Dalian is just one example of how far they're willing to go when they run out of solid ground. The radio telescope listening to the universe. 500 kilometers from Guiyang, in a natural depression surrounded by karst mountains, there's a giant dish that isn't facing upwards by chance. It's listening. It's called FAST, the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope. And it's the largest and most sensitive radio telescope ever built by humankind. Its size is equivalent to 30 football fields, but what's truly impressive isn't its size, but what it captures. To build FAST, more than 9,000 people living in the valley had to be relocated. Radio silence is so crucial that there can be no human interference within a 5-kilometer radius. So entire villages were displaced, houses demolished, roads rerouted, all so that this giant eye could listen to the universe without a microwave oven 100 kilometers away ruining its signal. And what FAST is searching for is what keeps many people awake at night. Not just pulsars and gravitational waves, not just the echoes of the Big Bang. It searches for signs of extraterrestrial civilizations. For years it has been listening, accumulating data, processing information that traveled billions of years to reach us. The chilling thing is that if someone ever calls, FAST will be the first to answer, and nobody knows what will happen next. The deepest hotel on the planet. An hour from Shanghai, in an abandoned quarry that had been unused for decades, there's a hotel that wasn't built upwards, but downwards. 18 floors underground, 2 underwater, and an artificial waterfall cascading from the surface to the bottom of the abyss. It's the Intercontinental Shanghai Wonderland, and it's probably the strangest hotel you can imagine. When the architects saw the void left by the mining operation, instead of filling it in, they decided to use it. They built the rooms into the quarry walls, so when you look out the window, you don't see the city, you see walls of rock rising towards the sky. The lower floors are under an artificial lake, so your window overlooks the water, swimming fish, and the filtered light that comes in from above, as if you were in an upside-down aquarium. The feeling of being there is hard to explain. It's a world turned upside down. Where other buildings seek height, this one seeks depth. Where others want views of the horizon, this one gives you views of the earth. And when you surface and see the quarry from the outside, you realize they didn't destroy the landscape. They transformed it into something no one had imagined. Building downwards wasn't an option until China decided it was. The glass bridge, where the ground disappears. Before Zhangjiajie, before glass bridges became almost a cliche in China, there was one that started it all. The Xinjiang Grand Canyon was the first. The one that broke the mold. The one that proved people were willing to pay to feel like they were walking on air. This bridge isn't the tallest or the longest, but it has something the others don't. The glass panels are designed to simulate shattering when you step on them. Yes, you read that right. They have sensors and screens that generate the sound of breaking glass and the image of cracks appearing under your feet the moment you step. It's a cruel joke by the engineers, a way to push fear to the limit knowing there's no real danger. The first time someone crossed it, there were screams, people who froze, and some who turned around and never tried again. But there was also laughter, adrenaline, that strange mix of terror and fun you only feel when you trick your brain into thinking you're going to die. Xinjiang isn't just a bridge, It's a psychological experiment 300 meters high. The road that crosses a lake without getting wet. If you drive through Hunan province, you'll eventually reach Dongting Lake. And if you get there, you'll see something that shouldn't be there, a road several kilometers long that crosses the water from one side to the other without touching it. It's not an overpass. It's a road built directly on the surface, dividing the lake in two like an asphalt scar. The most impressive sight is during the rainy season. When the water level rises, the road seems to float. Cars travel through the swollen lake, with water on both sides that sometimes laps at the asphalt, creating the illusion that you're driving on the sea. From a distance, it looks as if the vehicles are gliding across the water, defying physics, ignoring the laws of gravity. Locals use it daily. For them, it's just another road. But for those who see it for the first time, it's an unforgettable sight. A perfect straight line in the middle of the liquid immensity, tiny cars moving towards the horizon, and the feeling that at any moment the water could reclaim what should never have been its own. The space station that looks back at Earth, at 400 kilometers above the Earth, traveling at 28,000 kilometers per hour, there is a place where Chinese astronauts float while looking down at the same planet we walk on. It is the Tiangong space station, the heavenly palace, and it is proof that China doesn't just build on Earth, it builds beyond it. Tiangong isn't the first space station in history, but it has something that makes it special. It's theirs. Completely theirs. For years, they depended on international projects, on crumbs of cooperation, on doors that kept closing, until they decided it was time to have their own home in space. And they built it. Module by module, with their own spacecraft, their own rockets, their own astronauts. Today, Tiangong orbits the Earth every 90 minutes. Its crew members conduct experiments, repair equipment, look out the windows, and watch continents drift by. But the chilling part comes now. In less than 10 years, the International Space Station could be out of service. And if that happens, Tiangong could be left all alone. The only operational station, humanity's only outpost in space. And from there, from its celestial palace, China will look down and see the whole world waiting to see what they do next. The Artificial Cloud Factory. At 4,400 meters altitude in Sichuan province, there's a place that seems otherworldly. It's called LHAASO, the High Altitude Cosmic Ray Observatory. And if you've ever seen a movie where aliens leave installations on Earth without anyone noticing, this is the closest thing to it. These aren't conventional buildings. They're giant detectors scattered across the mountain, as if someone had sown the land with metallic seeds. Thousands of water tanks, hundreds of telescopes, an area of square kilometers dedicated to a single task: catching ghosts. That's what the scientists call them. Ghosts. Because the cosmic rays they're trying to capture are invisible particles that travel through the universe and pass through our bodies without us noticing. Every second, thousands of these particles cross you as if you were transparent. LHAASO doesn't see them directly, but it detects what they leave in their wake. When a cosmic ray collides with the atmosphere, it generates a cascade of secondary particles that fall toward Earth. The observatory is designed to capture these cascades, to measure them, to understand where they come from and what energy they carry. It's like trying to reconstruct a storm by observing the raindrops that hit the ground. Except here, the raindrops are invisible and the storm comes from black holes millions of light years away. The eerie thing about LHAASO isn't what you see, it's what you don't see. Walking among those detectors, knowing that at that very moment particles born in stellar explosions are passing right through you, makes you feel small, vulnerable, part of something you don't fully understand. And meanwhile, the Chinese scientists continue planting seeds on the mountain, capturing phantoms, listening to the echoes of a universe that never stops speaking to us. The circular city that eats waste. On the outskirts of Shenzhen stands a building that looks like something out of a science fiction novel. It's circular, enormous, with a facade that combines glass panels and vegetation. It could be a futuristic convention center or the headquarters of some tech company, but it's neither. It's a waste incinerator, and not just any incinerator, it's the largest in the world. Designed to process 5,000 tons of waste a day, this plant consumes what the city throws away and converts it into electricity. Its roof is covered by the largest solar panel ever installed on a building, generating clean energy while the shredders below do their work. But what's truly impressive isn't its size, it's its philosophy. Instead of hiding the garbage, they integrate it into the life of the city. There are guided tours, observation decks, and educational spaces. They want people to see what happens to what they throw away, to understand that the black bag that leaves their house doesn't magically disappear. What's truly chilling is the scale of the problem it solves. Shenzhen is one of the cities that generates the most waste per capita in the world. Without this plant, landfills would grow, trucks wouldn't be able to keep up, and the smell and pollution would become unbearable. Instead, they have a building that consumes mountains of waste and turns it into electricity. Garbage ceases to be a problem and becomes a resource. And meanwhile, the smoke from its chimneys is so filtered that the residents don't even realize that what they ate for breakfast 2 days ago is being burned right next to their homes. The train that floats without magnets. If you've seen videos of magnetic levitation trains, you know they use magnets to float above the tracks. But there's a train in China that goes even further. It doesn't need magnets on the track, only on the train itself. It's the high-speed maglev, and it reaches 600 kilometers per hour without touching the ground. The technology seems straight out of the 1980s from those movies where the future was clean and silent. But it's real. The train floats on a kind of magnetic cushion that lifts it a few centimeters, eliminating any friction. The result is brutal acceleration, a smooth glide, and the sensation of riding on a magic carpet at airplane speed. Shanghai already has a maglev that connects the city with the airport. It makes the journey in less than 8 minutes. What used to be an hour-and-a-half drive is now a breeze. But the new train they're developing multiplies that speed. 600 kilometers per hour means that Beijing-Shanghai, a distance of more than 1,000 kilometers, could be covered in less than 2 hours. Faster than flying, no check-in, no waiting, no turbulence. What's eerie is how silent it is. No wheels, no rattling, no friction, no vibration. You sit there looking out the window and the scenery rushes by so fast you barely recognize it. It's like time travel, only instead of moving backward or forward, you move toward the very edges of what you thought was possible. The 10-lane highway that leads nowhere. Dalian has many attractions, but there's one that baffles even locals. A 10-lane pedestrian avenue. 8 lanes for cars, 2 for bicycles. Wide, straight, immaculate, and almost always empty. They call it the avenue that leads nowhere because for now, not enough people use it. It was planned for the future. Dalian grows, expands, and the urban planners decided to anticipate it. They built the artery before the blood flowed. So today, walking along it is a strange experience. So much space for so few people. Benches where no one sits, streetlights illuminating solitary sidewalks, bike lanes without bicycles. But that will change. In 10, 20 years, this avenue will be congested. Cars will fill those 8 lanes, bicycles will need their own, and pedestrians will complain about the noise. What seems like a miscalculation today will be a vision of the future tomorrow. Meanwhile, walking around makes you feel like an explorer in a city that hasn't been born yet, seeing what will be before it is. The project that will change the world map. And so we come to the end, to what is probably the most ambitious and terrifying project China has ever conceived. It's called the 3 Lines Project, and if completed, it will redraw the map of Asia, literally. The idea is to take water from Tibet's 3 most important sources, the Brahmaputra, Salween, and Mekong rivers, and divert it north. To the arid regions, to the deserts, to where the land has waited for centuries for rain that never comes. The goal is to transform millions of hectares of barren land into productive farms, forests, and cities. But the scale is so colossal that it would alter the climate of half a continent. If they succeed, they will have done what no one in history has ever done. Controlling water on this scale means controlling life. China could decide who has water and who doesn't, which rivers flow and which dry up. Neighboring countries, India, Vietnam, Thailand, and Myanmar, depend on those rivers. If China diverts them, their crops will die, their populations will migrate, their economies will collapse. If they fail, the consequences are unpredictable. Moving so much water could disrupt the geological balance, trigger earthquakes, change wind patterns, and dry up areas that are currently fertile. No one has ever done anything like this. No one knows what will happen, but China is determined to try. Meanwhile, in Tibet, the machines are already moving. Tunnels are being drilled, canals are being laid out, and engineers are calculating. And the world watches, waiting, wondering if this is the future of engineering or the beginning of something that no one will be able to control. Because when you move mountains, when you divert rivers, when you decide the fate of water, you are playing God. And like every story with gods, this one could end in creation or cataclysm.